would describe Pumeza as one of the strongest willed people I've ever known. She definitely has a very strong will to survive, and she's very committed to her treatment, and she treats everybody and everything the same way. Pumeza is just the way she is to everybody, and I really admire that about her.
In May 2010, Pumeza was diagnosed with tuberculosis. At the age of only 19, she was forced to stop her studies in order to begin normal TB treatment, which consists of taking a large number of tablets every day for at least 6 months. Despite her dedication to beat the disease, Pumeza's condition began to get worse. New tests were done, revealing the fact that Pumeza was actually infected with MDR TB, or multi-drug-resistant tuberculosis. This meant that the treatment she was receiving was not good enough to kill the disease. Doctors had to start her on a new drug regimen. This treatment consisted of more than 20 different tablets, taken daily for 2 years, plus a very painful injection taken 5 days a week for 6 months. Despite some initial success, Pumeza's condition began to deteriorate again. She was admitted into a hospital and remained bedridden for several months. While in the hospital, doctors discovered Pumeza was actually suffering from XDR TB, or extensively drug-resistant tuberculosis. This type of TB is difficult to diagnose and complex to treat. XDR TB is not only resistant to regular TB treatment, but also several drugs used to treat MDR TB. Sadly, the painful injection she had been taking, which she was resistant to all along, was causing her to lose her hearing. Shortly thereafter, Pumeza had gone completely deaf. Over time, Pumeza's speech deteriorated, and today she communicates by writing and typing.
It just so happened that about a month later that the nurse called me and said, "Oh, you know that patient you saw, her culture results are positive again," which is a really bad sign at that point. And she said, "What do we do?" And that's really where we got involved with her case.
Traditionally, MDR TB patients are treated in hospitals. However, South Africa only has 2,000 hospital beds designated for MDR TB patients. This is far too little to fight the disease on a large scale. Considering that 500,000 new cases of TB are diagnosed each year in South Africa, and that 13,000 of these people will have a drug-resistant form of TB. In Khayelitsha, MSF has shown how MDR TB patients can be treated outside of hospitals and closer to their homes. The Lizo Nabando TB Care Center, located in the heart of Khayelitsha, is part of this decentralized approach. Recently, the South African health authorities have endorsed this community-based method of treating TB. In 2011, when Pumeza had run out of options, she was admitted into Lizo Nabando.
Lizo Nabando is a subacute inpatient facility, which means it's a facility where drug-resistant TB patients can come to receive treatment on a short-term basis.
Here, Pumeza was given an individually tailored drug regimen, which meant taking over 20 pills daily for 2 years. Many of the pills she had to take actually made her feel sicker than the disease itself. Despite TB being the leading cause of death in South Africa, there is a desperate lack of research and development for new, more effective drugs to treat TB and drug-resistant strains effectively. The treatment options doctors have today are limited, too long, too toxic, and too costly. This creates a cruel dilemma, considering that with today's treatment, drug-resistant TB patients only have a 50% chance of survival. Linezolid, a new drug added to Pumeza's treatment, was very effective, but it cost over $75 per tablet, a pill she would need to take every day for 2 years.
When I think of Pumeza, I think of somebody who's really stoic and really strong. So whatever I told her that we had to do, she just accepted it and said, "Okay, well, that's what we need to do. I need to get cured, and that's just what we'll do."
Eventually, Pumeza was considered well enough to return home to the love and care of her family, while continuing her treatment each day at her local clinic, just around the corner from her house. In 2011, Pumeza started blogging about her experiences as an XDR TB patient, to raise awareness about how people struggle with the disease. For 2 years, thousands of people around the world have been following Pumeza's journey, celebrating the good news and offering support when it looked like she wasn't going to make it through.
I think if Lisa Nabanda was not here, I think Pumeza might be dead, mainly because of access to drugs. You know, she came to our attention when her XDR treatment that she'd been receiving for 8 months was failing, so there really were no other options for her.
After a difficult 4 years of fighting drug-resistant TB, Pumeza is now very close to beating the disease. If her test results for DR-TB continue to come back negative until August 2013, she will be considered cured. While many around her are celebrating her success, Pumeza feels the hope, but she refuses to celebrate just yet.